Hey there guys, this is Flamesaron, aka YouTube's Toske. And since I got this here Elgato, I figured I should do a review on it, but I also want to compare it to my old Dazzle, because I think it'd be interesting. To start off with the Elgato, as you can see, it's a lot smaller, it's slicker, and doesn't have too much going on with it, which can be useful if you're trying to just keep your capture card plugged in at all times and record pretty much all the time. With the Dazzle, it's a little beefier. I mean, you could still kind of set it up that way, but it's a bit bigger, though you could set it, but with this one being smaller, it probably would be a little less messy, I'd say. What comes with it, it has, might be hard to see it, HDMI in and HDMI out, and then an S-Video AV thingy, which I'll get to later on, and then USB where you plug it into your computer. All the Dazzle really has is just the standard composite thing with S-Video right here. But the Elgato is made for HD recording. You know, it has the HDMI, so you can literally just plug it into your console and into your TV. And since it's being powered by your computer, you don't have to run any extra wires or anything. You know, with the Dazzle, if you wanted to see it on your TV, you'd had to get these splitters to hook it up, and then you also would have need these little AV cables. So you have to buy a little bit more extra stuff with the Dazzle. And I'll get to like different programs and whatnot on how like it works and whatnot, or the programs that come with it. But with the Elgato, you know, if you want to record in lower component or something, it does come with these component cables that you plug in through S-Video, which you'll notice the Dazzle also has S-Video, so you could plug it in to your Dazzle if you really wanted to try it. But the thing is, it's plugging in through the AV, but you still use the HDMI to output to your TV. So the Elgato kind of acts as an upscaler, which I like, because if you're playing an old game, it's going to make it look even better. And if you're doing like upscaling on PS3, like you're playing a PS1 game, it's going to look even better than it probably would. But the big feature about the Elgato that I think it's one of its biggest selling point is that, as you know, the PS3 has HDCP, so you can't record through HDMI, and the PS4 is supposed to remove it sometime soon if it hasn't already. But for capturing with the PS3, it has this little thing. It might be hard to see, but you should recognize it as a little AV plug-in for the PS3 and also the PS2. You could use this on PS2 as well, which is what I've been doing. But, you know, it's like the, see, it's got the S-Video, so it goes in there. So it's doing it through S-Video. Look at that piano. But it's doing it through S-Video, but it's outputting through HDMI, which I find it very useful. And like I said, you can use it on your PS2 if you really want to. And it gets HD capture. It's not as crisp as HDMI, even if it's outputting to HDMI signal. I guess they're taking it from the S-Video signal. But I think it's supposed to be like a HD like thing. I don't think this is necessarily S-Video or component. I think it's just supposed to be like a mock-up HDMI. So that's the general coverage of both capture cards. But what's a capture device without actually showing some footage? So tune in for a little bit afterwards, and I'm going to show you guys some footage. I'm going to be showing you guys Tales of Destiny on the PS2, which I'll probably say again in that portion. But yeah, without further ado, let's go to the footage. And so here's the first part that I recorded with my Dazzle, and as you can see,
it's kind of flickery looking, and it's maybe a little pixely. It's generally not the best quality, and part of it is due to my Dazzle's age. I've had it for a very long time, and I think its quality has diminished over time. And it could also be maybe my new computer, but here I'm just going to kind of talk about what I think about the Dazzle in general and just my experiences with it. Overall, I liked it when I first got it because, I could finally record my console games. I could only do PC games back then, which is why I mainly did like emulation and whatnot. But now, when I was glad to finally have it, and it was useful. My main thing that I didn't really like about it is that with the recorder program that it comes with, like, it's not Pinnacle. It was like the cheapest version of the Dazzle available, and now there's an HD version of it, which is probably of better quality than mine, but mine's that old white one now. I think it's in black. But anywho, with the recorder that it gave me, the video file was in a DVD format, so it's meant to be recorded onto a blank DVD and then presumably ripped from there, saved. I think the Dazzle's main intention was to save live TV on or save a TV show onto a DVD without having to like DVR it or something. But I found ways around it. I used to use DVD-X and Super back in the day, but now I just use YouTube Downloader to just convert the video, and it's helped me kind of figure out how a DVD file, where the actual video file of the DVD is, and so that can be useful if I need to rip a DVD, and I can't use like a program like DVD Fab or something. I have to like rip it myself. So the Dazzle's useful in teaching you that, but another thing I didn't really like is that you had to input a time for the recording, which could be a bit of a pain because for my videos, like with my commentaries, I was just trying to show the game, and early on I would just do like 15 or 10 to 15 minutes, but then I switched it to where I just wanted to show a complete level or what I felt like was a decent sample of the game. So I just put in like 100 minutes for recording, and that usually gets the job done because I don't know how long I'm going to take with one given level. But the quality, it's not obviously not in HD, but it's okay. It was okay back then, and I didn't really like the black bars. I'm still not entirely too keen on them, but I've kind of accepted them just because of the way I record it, and since I do videos in widescreen now, it might look a little worse, but overall, I was pleased with the Dazzle because I didn't really have any other way to record video game footage like consoles and whatnot, and I like it because there's no delay with the like if you're putting it in your TV and then you're trying to like do the splitters and whatnot, you won't see any there isn't any delay in like the audio and from what I could tell, the visuals as well, so you won't have to worry about like having disjointed commentary. So that was one plus about it. Though, obviously since it's not in HD, I couldn't record like anime cutscenes from a Tales game or something because I wanted them to look really nice. At this point, I would. So recording the anime cutscenes one by one using a Dazzle was out of the option, as opposed to ripping because ripping at this point is getting a little too hard because I can't rip PS3 videos. I have to either record or get someone else to do it because I don't have the right drive for it. But overall, the Dazzle, it was fine for its time, though I think at this point it's really, I think, just the age of it. Personally, I think it just has gotten too old, and I'm going to keep using it if I ever need to, or I'm going to keep it at least. But yeah, I enjoyed the Dazzle, but at this point, for the comparison, I'd say the Elgato, which you'll see in a bit, is a bit better. But that's just my stance on things. Overall, Dazzle's pretty good. I'd recommend it as like an early thing. Now here's the footage that I recorded with my Elgato, and as you can see, it is leagues better than the Dazzle. That's one thing that I know Maximilian said on his channel about the Elgato, is that it's really good for HD games, or excuse me, older games like, you know, PS2 and whatnot. And it is true, and that's the reason why I chose it, because I wanted to choose a game where the difference would be pretty big enough. Because obviously with like certain stuff, the difference is going to be like marginal just because the subject matter is just too big or something. But yeah, as you can see, the visuals are a lot better. There's no of those little bar things, or at least not from my perspective. But it looks really nice. Though with the capture device, or the program, the Elgato program that comes with it for recording, I have a bit of issues with it, which is probably the one thing I don't really like about it the most, is that, you know, for starters, you know, the way it works is that it immediately starts like recording like a little tiny cache of like footage for you. For your video, for your recording in your game session. And the idea behind it is the idea behind it is to, you know, catch highlights while you're playing your game. So I guess it's just for like streaming and whatnot, which is another feature that the Elgato program has. You can actually stream, which I tried doing before already on my YouTube channel, but didn't really work out so well because there was a lot of technical issues. That seems to be the big thing with the with streaming. So it starts recording immediately. Technically, like if you look at the timer above the record button, you'll see that it's going forward. And when you start recording your actual footage, it starts over. But as far as I know, I don't know any way to actually remove the or get rid of like the cache, because it takes up space. And you know, if you record a lot, which I don't usually, but if you record a lot of video game footage for whatever reason, you're gonna have a lot of space filled up really quickly for stuff that's not really in your control, because you're just trying to record a certain amount of footage at a time. Another thing I don't really like is that when you're recording, there's a bit of a delay between the audio coming from your computer and the actual recording, and what would be your TV, because since it outputs through HDMI, and you know it uses USB, you know you can watch your gameplay on your TV while playing your game and recording it pretty easily. But there's a bit of a delay, which that can get a little annoying if you're trying to do live commentary, which the program does have a feature for that as well, and even has a feature of turning down the audio when you're talking. But I probably won't use it because I just like being in complete control of my audio, which may make my audio seem a little might have a little bit of syncing issues, but I feel like I've gotten it down pretty close. But that and getting the footage into like a file, that's a bit of a pain, because first the video has to be processed, and there's a little tiny blue bar that shows up when you try to record. But and then once you do that, you have to go to the edit section, and then you have to click on this little tiny button to figure out where it is. I mean, because it saves automatically to your My Videos folder. That's where all your Elgato stuff goes, so you have to move it from there. And I don't know, it's a bit of a pain. I kind of just wish it was a little bit less complicated. It's a nice program. I'm definitely going to use it for more streaming, and the quality, as you can see, is great. Like, the quality of this is really good. I'm watching this while I'm doing my review here, my talking, and it's pretty good. I will go ahead and say that even though I said you could plug in the PS3 HDCP bypass into the Dazzle potentially, because they're both S-Video, I wasn't able to get it to fit in there, and I didn't want to force it because I didn't want to risk breaking it because I need it for recording PS3 games. So I'll just conclude this section with just some general final thoughts. Overall, I think the Elgato, even though it's more expensive than, say, other alternative HD capture cards out there, I think it's so far the best because it's, no matter what you're recording with, like, be it composite, component, I don't think you can do composite anyway, but component, you know, whatever, it still outputs to HDMI, so it's going to look good regardless. And I think the way it's set up is that it kind of records in HD anyway. As you can see, the footage here is great, and this is an old PS2 game, so I definitely think it's worth your money if you want to, like, have really good HD quality. So that's me trying to figure out what this weakness is. I find that this game is a little bit harder than I remember. Maybe I'm just too used to other Tales games or something. I'd recommend getting it though, or at least the DC version. But yeah, I'd say if you want HD capturing immediately, you should probably go with the Elgato as soon as you can. Though there is a quote-unquote HD version of the Dazzle that you can get. But yeah, I'd say go for the Elgato personally. But yeah, this is Flamsaron, aka YouTube Sasuke, signing out. I'll see you guys later, and happy recording. Get the Elgato. Do it!